Now, in this video I'm going to take a look at CSS3 media queries, and we'll cover what they are, how to use them, how well supported they are, and why they are an extremely good thing, especially in today's environment of smartphones, tablets, and the mobile environment in general. Right, we will run over to Dreamweaver. We'll open up a page I have prepared in Dreamweaver and we will dissect it. Basically, media queries, in a nutshell, they allow us to change a website's layout depending on the size of the user's viewport. It scales the size, and we can do all this without changing the content. It's to have a dynamic website, a responsive website that responds, like I said, to the viewport size. Right, we'll have a look at the HTML we have here. It's quite similar to the last tutorial, the HTML layout. We start off with a title. We have a link to our style sheet for our styles, and we have an extra link here that we did not have, and that is the media queries CSS file. It's always a good idea to keep our media queries in a separate file. Now we jump into the body and we'll see we have a wrapper div, which is our container, which will hold everything else. Inside that we have 3 divs. We have 4 divs. We have a header div, we have a left div, which will symbolize our navigation sidebar. We have a center div, which is just some content, and we have some secondary content in a div with an ID of right. And then we have just a div just to clear the other divs. You should know what that does. We won't get into it here. We'll jump over to our style sheet. We won't be paying too much attention to this. Basically, it's a bunch of resets, some padding for our list elements. We set some styles, some color styles, using the pseudo selectors here that we covered in the last tutorial. We're setting the font color, background color, font styles, and we just give all the other divs some margin paddings, widths, heights, and float them left. Now, the important one here, I suppose, is the width of the wrapper, which is 1026, which would be our standard monitor, laptop screen these days. With that in mind, we'll jump over to our media queries. Now, how does media queries work? Well, basically, we specify a media type and we target the media based on the screen sizes. Now, there's several media types specified in the W3C specifications, but for the purpose of media queries, the one we'll concentrate on is screen. So the syntax for the media queries is we use the @ symbol. So we say @media screen, @media screen. So that's our media type, @media screen, and is the key word here. So we're targeting screens with a max width of 980. And then inside this we can have our rules for screens with a max width of 980. So this will basically target a small screen, smaller monitors than your standard 1024, what we just showed you. So based on this criteria, which is basically it's a logical expression, and the CSS is only applied if this expression is true. So if it is true, we will give the wrapper, the div with an ID of wrapper, we will set the width to 86%. Now percentages are always good to use with media queries because it can scale depending on the size rather than have fixed pixel widths and sizes. So the 86% is actually 86% of 980. The left, the center and the right are all 28%. Now the remaining percentages are left over for padding and borders, things like that. It's not, to be honest, it's not 100% precise, but we won't get too bogged down, and we'll just get the general idea for this tutorial and say that the wrapper is 86% of 980 and the three columns are 28% of 980. Now what this means is if I run over to the browser and I'll just open this with Chrome here. So here we are with the standard size. This is what's served up to a standard website. We have the outer wrapper is our 1024 size. Now if it's being viewed on a smaller screen size, i.e. 980 pixels, this is basically what happens. I can show you by resizing the browser. And it snaps down to narrower columns. Now this is quite useful, and again I will just reiterate there, we will jump down a bit further just to kind of hammer it home, and we will look at our tablet sizes, which are around about 650 pixels. That will be our average tablet size, 650 pixels in width. So we have at media screen, again we're targeting media type, which is screen, and a max width of 650 pixels. Excuse me. We will say the wrapper has a width of 80% of the 650. The left, in this case, has a width of 90%. The center has a width of 40%. And the right has a width of 40%. Now the reason the left has a width of 90% is because that is our navigation sidebar. And if it's being viewed on a tablet, we will want that to no longer be a 3-column layout, but a 2-column layout, which means the navigation will jump to the top and it will extend almost the whole width of the wrapper. Just to give you an example of that, there we go. You see the navigation has jumped up here, and we now have a 2-column layout. Column 2, column 3. We still have our paddings and our margins, so it still looks quite tidy. Although, as I said, it's not 100% perfect. As you can see, it's slightly narrower here, the padding, than it is over here, but again, this is for demonstration purposes only. So we move on down to our smartphone size. So we will have a max width of 480, and here we use min width just to demonstrate that. We can set parameters that the width must fall in between by using the AND keyword. So the min width is 440 and the max width is 480. Again, the wrapper has a width of 80%. The left, in this case, has a width of 86%. centre have 86% and the right has 86%. And what this tells us is that now we're going from a 2-column layout to a 1-column layout where everything will be stacked on top of each other, which is ideal for smartphones. And just to emulate a smartphone sized window, I'll resize the browser here. And that has popped over there because I'm gone below the 440. But somewhere around here is our 480 width. So we're between 480 and 440 here, which would be standard smartphone widths. Now, our navigation is still on the top. Column 2 is there, column 3 is there. And again, as many columns as you like can go underneath. And that's basically it for the CSS3 media queries. Media queries are about as complicated as CSS3 gets. So it takes a little bit of time, but the direction that web development is heading, this is an invaluable tool to know. Mobile sales will, by 2015, overtake laptop and PC sales, which means more and more and more content is being viewed on mobile devices, which means that companies are going to want to have responsive websites so that their media is served up correctly. Now, CSS3 media queries are well supported, bar IE. So if it comes to a stage where it is not supported, we will basically have, this is the layout you will get regardless of the size. So if I was to take out this link to the media query style sheet, save that, refresh the browser, and resize, you'll see what happens here. We end up with horizontal scrolling. Now, of course, that's not ideal, but that is more traditional. Most sites now that don't have media queries set up, this is what you get anyway. So it's not like if they have media queries set up and the browser doesn't support them, it's not like they won't get to the website. They will, it will just be more in the older sense, less aesthetically pleasing. So that's basically it for CSS3 media queries, and thanks for watching, and goodbye.